video is on FAQs on Form ITR5. Form ITR5 can be used for filing income tax return by partnership firms or limited liability partnership firms. The form can also be used by association of persons, body of individuals including trusts like private trust, private discretionary trust, gratuity trust, PF trust which are not eligible to file Form ITR7. The form can also be used by artificial judicial persons referred to in Section 2, subsection 31, Clause 7. Local authority, cooperative societies including primary agricultural credit societies, cooperative banks, cooperative bank other than primary agricultural credit society, or a primary cooperative agricultural and rural bank can also file ITR5. Form ITR5 can also be used for filing income tax return for estate of deceased or estate of insolvent, or business trusts or investment funds. Let us first see the key changes in Form ITR5 for assessment year 24-25. A new column has been added in Form ITR5 which requires taxpayers to select their applicable due date for filing return, enhancing clarity on filing timelines. With effect from assessment year 24-25 and with the amendments in Section 115 BAC, new tax regime is now the default regime, and taxpayers wishing to opt for the old regime must opt out of the new regime. And information regarding that has been added in the General Information section of the ITR. Deduction under Section 80 IAC is available to an eligible startup for 3 consecutive assessment years out of 10 years at the option of such a startup. These deductions are allowed subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. Form ITR5 now includes a new schedule seeking the details with respect to deductions claimed under Section 80 IAC. The details are date of incorporation of the startup, nature of business, certificate number as obtained from Interministerial Board of Certification, first assessment year in which the deduction was claimed, and the amount of deduction claimed for current assessment year. Until assessment year 23-24, ITR5 only asks information about the amount eligible for deduction under Section 80 IAC. With respect to capital gains account scheme, Schedule CG of ITR form contains the information. This schedule requires various details including information about the capital asset sold, the particulars of the buyer, and the specifics regarding the amount spent for claiming exemptions. In Form ITR5 for assessment year 24-25, Schedule CG has been modified to gather more information pertaining to sums deposited in the capital gains account scheme. The revised schedule now requires the inclusion of the date of deposit, account number, and the IFSC code. Until the previous assessment year, taxpayers were required to only provide details regarding the sum deposited in the capital gains account scheme. Additional details regarding the circumstances necessitating tax audit are now required to be furnished in Form ITR5. So therefore, if the taxpayer chooses yes to the question, are you liable for audit under Section 44AB, it is also required to mention the reasons by virtue of which such audit is required. Also, the taxpayers are required to disclose the audit report acknowledgement number and the UDIN for audit under Section 44AB. Schedule OS has been amended to include income from online games taxable under Section 115 BBJ. Let us first see the statutory forms applicable for ITR5. Some of the forms which can be applicable on ITR5 are Form 67, Statement of Income from a country or specified territory outside India and foreign tax credit, Form 10IF, Application for exercise of option under subsection 5 of Section 115 BAD. In the statutory forms, there is an addition. Form 10IFA, Application to opt for new tax regime under Section 115 BAE by new manufacturing cooperative societies resident in India. Form 3CEB, which is a report from an accountant to be furnished under Section 92E relating to international transactions and specified domestic transactions. Form 3CFA, which is a form for opting for taxation of income by way of royalty in respect of patents. Form 10CCB, which is audit report under Section 80I subsection 7, 80IA subsection 7, 80IB or 80IC. Form 10CCF, which is report under Section 80LA subsection 3 of the Income Tax Act. Form 10DA, which is a report under Section 80JJAA of the Income Tax Act. Form 29C, which is report under Section 115 JC of the Income Tax Act for computing adjusted total income and alternate minimum tax of the person other than a company. Form 3CB, 3CD, which is audit report under Section 44AB of the Income Tax Act in case of a person referred to in Clause B of Subrule 1 of Rule 6G. Form 3CE, which is audit report under subsection 2 of Section 44DA of the Income Tax Act. Form 3CEA, report of an accountant to be furnished by an assessee under subsection 3 of Section 50B of the Income Tax Act relating to computation of capital gains in case of slump sale. Form 10IG, which is statement of exempt income under Clause 4D of Section 10 of the Income Tax Act. Form 10IK, which is annual statement of exempt income under Subrule 2 of Rule 21 AJA and taxable income under Subrule 2 of Rule 21 AJAA. Form 10IJ, which is certificate to be issued by accountant under Clause 23FF of Section 10 of the Income Tax Act. Form 56F, report under Section 10AA of the Income Tax Act. Also, there is an addition. Form 10IEA, application to opt out of new tax regime under Section 115 BAC subsection 6 by all association of persons other than cooperative societies or body of individuals or artificial judicial persons in case of business income. Before going to the FAQs on ITR5, let us see the prerequisites of filing the form. In order to file the form on the e-filing portal, you should be a registered user on the e-filing portal with an active PAN. You must update your login profile and add key person details in login profile before filing income tax return. You must also update digital signature certificates in login profile before filing the return. You should also pre-validate a bank account and nominate it for refund. It is also recommended that you should have a valid mobile number linked with e-filing portal or your Aadhaar, your bank or your depository. And it is also advisable that you file applicable statutory forms before filing the income tax return. For FAQs on choice of tax regime while filing Form ITR5, please refer to our video on frequently asked questions on new versus old tax regime. For other queries related to Form ITR5, kindly refer to this video. Let us now see the first FAQ on ITR5. The question is that is taxpayer required to file Form 10IF every year for claiming the new tax regime? Please note the taxpayer is not required to file Form 10IF every year. You are required to file Form 10IF only once within due date as per Section 139 subsection 1 in the year in which you want to opt for the new tax regime for the first time. Another query for Form 10IF could be that if Form 10IF is filed within due date, then is it compulsory to select new tax regime while filing the income tax return? Please note that if you have filed Form 10IF within due date, it is compulsory for you to select the appropriate option of new tax regime while filing the return every year. Once the new tax regime is opted under Section 115 BAD, then it cannot be withdrawn. There can be another question that can a taxpayer file revised return with new tax regime if the original return has been filed without opting for the new tax regime? Yes, if you have filed your Form 10IF within due date, you may opt for the new tax regime option even while filing your revised return. Another question related to Form 10IF is that if I have filed Form 10IF more than once during the year, then which Form 10IF detail is required to be filed while filing Form ITR5? Please note, first of all, you're not expected to file Form 10IF more than once. However, if you have filed Form 10IF by mistake or for any other reason, then you're advised to fill up the details of the first valid Form 10IF file within due date as per Section 139 subsection 1 at the time of filing the income tax return. Another question could be that in Schedule TDS, can the taxpayer claim both TDS of current year and brought forward TDS of last year in the same row? Please note that TDS of current year and brought forward TDS of previous years are required to be claimed separately by showing them in different rows in Schedule TDS. Another question related to cooperative society could be that how can a cooperative society claim deduction under Section 80P subsection 2 clause D for interest or dividend from investment in other cooperative society? A cooperative society eligible to claim deduction under Section 80P subsection 2 clause D for interest or dividend from investment in other cooperative society is required to select the nature of business code 23011 in Schedule Part A General. It also needs to disclose the interest or dividend income in Schedule Profit and Loss account at serial number 14 clause 3 or 14.4. Also, if any part of the interest or dividend income is taxable under the head income from other sources, the same is required to be shown, again serial number 1A for dividend income and serial number 1B2 for interest income after reducing the same from Schedule BP, serial number 3C. Another question which is relevant for cooperative societies could be, how can a cooperative society claim deduction under Section 80P subsection 2 clause E for income from letting of godowns, warehouses for storage, processing, or facilitating the marketing of commodities? Please note that a cooperative society eligible to claim deduction under Section 80P subsection 2 clause E for income from letting of godown, warehouses for storage, processing and facilitating the marketing of commodities is required to select the nature of business code 23012 in Schedule Part A General. Also, it is required to disclose the rental income in Schedule Profit and Loss account at serial number 14.1. If the income is taxable under the head income from other sources or Schedule House Property, the same is required to be shown, again serial number 1C of Schedule OS or serial number 1K of Schedule HP after reducing the same from Schedule BP, serial number 3A or 3C. The next question is related to payment of taxes. The question is, what is the role of Pay Now option in the departmental utility? After making the payment, whether details of payment are required to be entered in Schedule IT. Please note from assessment year 23-24, the payment made through Pay Now option has been integrated with Schedule IT and the details are designed to be auto-populated in the departmental utility and in online filing. However, it is still advisable to verify the entries in Schedule IT before finalizing the return. Another very relevant question for Form ITR5 could be, which taxpayer is required to mandatorily fill the Table F to be filled in case of persons referred to in Section 160 subsection 1 clause 3 or clause 4 in Part A General. Taxpayers who select the status as Association of Persons and substatus Trust filing ITR other than ITR 7 in Schedule Part A General are required to fill the corresponding details in Table F in Part A General. Another question is related to refunds, that my refund of about rupees 50 lakhs has not been received with the reason that the PAN name and the name in the bank account are not matching, that is, there is a mismatch in name. It is advisable for the taxpayers to look into the validation status of bank accounts in the profile section to check if refund is likely to be released or not to the given bank account. Wherever the bank account is validated with the remark, validated but refund is restricted, it is advised that the name as per bank account selected for credit of refund matches with the name as per the PAN database. Other issue related to ITR5 could be that the taxpayer is not able to file ITR5 and getting the error, "Dear taxpayer, ITR5 is not applicable as per the status of the PAN. Kindly verify the same and file applicable ITR." Please note, ITR5 can be filed by those taxpayers whose status as per the PAN database does not allow them to use ITR1, ITR2, ITR3 or ITR4, ITR6 and ITR7. Thus, if the taxpayer status requires to use other ITRs, using ITR5 by such an assessee may render the return invalidated. Therefore, from assessment year 23-24, e-filing has taken extra measures to stop such statuses from using wrong form, that is ITR5 in this case, in order to help taxpayers with this avoidable mistake. However, if the status in the PAN database is not correct, thereby using ITR5 would be required, such taxpayers may reach out to e-filing in advance and report the requirement under e-Nivaran with necessary supporting documents so that e-filing may provide appropriate enablement. Filing of ITR5 is very easy. To know more, you may visit our website www.incometax.gov.in or contact our helpline numbers.